In this episode, the King is back, and we discuss, is one strength training session a week enough? Welcome to episode 5 of AskTheLJs. We have the King. The King is still alive. He is here.
Oh,
this is technically...
you made me do that.
He nudged him. He's like, Chris, make the intro better this time.
I feel so dirty.
Yeah. So this is technically Ask the King episode 2, if you want to get the maths correct. Right, let's get into it because we had banter last episode and hopefully you enjoyed that. If you didn't, then you should have just skipped forward. So this is a question from Nick Tuckett, who's an academy student. Shout out to Nick. He's got a good cause. What's his good cause as well?
It's the Apollo Aid Foundation. I can't remember exactly what it is. It's something to do with music and helping people. It's a charity, but just go Google the Apollo Aid Foundation. We'll try and link some stuff in the description box. Go check it out. It's a really awesome cause.
Follow them. Give some money. You tight asses.
Money.
Right, so Nick's asked, during your presentations you spoke about not being in a grey area with regards to heart rate and having it low for fastest aerobic adaptation and high for fastest anaerobic adaptation. He'd like to know what you consider high or low as a percentage of max heart rate, or if you use something different.
Yeah, well, normally, if you wanted to get it exact, you would have it off the back of like lactate testing and things like that, so you'd be able to tell. If you haven't got access to that, you could pretty much say that out of all of my clients, the low, they start at 130 and go to about 150. That's the main bulk of their low, and I can make it finer dependent on the result.
And that's beats per minute, not
that's beats per
not
minute.
percentage.
Yeah, so 130 to 150 beats per minute tends to be the lower end of it. Anything above 175 to 180, anything above that would be considered high. But you've got to use your common sense. If you had 80-year-old Dot in, you're not going to want to take her to 190. You know, like
189 is fine, but 190.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you get Dot to 190, then she ain't going to be doing any adaptation. She got dead.
Dotty's dead.
Yeah, you've got a dead client.
EastEnders.
So, Dot.
Still alive, old Dot. I saw her last night.
So you've got to use your common sense a bit. But yeah, if you go between 130 and 150, or above 180 for the high, the thing is consistency. So with the low heart rate zone, if you haven't got the data in front of you to make a really good kind of point of saying this is what you need to be at, you can take an educated guess, but keep them consistent. Keep them between 130 and 140, or keep them between 135 and 145, and they'll get better in that heart rate zone. So you've just got to keep them consistent in that. But yeah, I'd say that they're the rough areas if you were just going on a ballpark figure.
Do you use the formula of what they normally teach you, 220 minus their age, to give you their max heart rate?
Nah.
There's another one in there, Carbonian formula? Or have I just completely made up the name? Where it actually takes into account your resting heart rate?
Yeah, so you can use your resting heart rate as a way of dictating whether you're recovered or not.
Okay.
So that's the best way to use your resting heart rate. So if you're
Heart rate variability, shouldn't it?
yeah, so you take your heart rate every morning, and it can dictate whether you're even hydrated or dehydrated. It can test if you're recovered or you're not recovered. But that'll go. There's more accurate ways to do that. You would, if you was looking at going on that way, you would work on just tracking their pure volume and capacity throughout the session and the week by just. There's loads of ways you can do that. That's coming in an article soon, actually. My next article talks about that. Yeah, when it gets done.
When it gets done.
It's coming.
It's coming.
It's coming.
So, next question is from James Blanchard in the SBS Elite Group. And Chris, he wants to know, well, you've just looked through his training. He's doing one strength training session a week, well, his client is. But his question is, in your experience, is that enough work for someone pushing for a sub-11 Ironman triathlon?
Do you want to give some detail on the training as well? Just because
Yeah, like
gives
barbell
some context to it.
rows. And
Barbell rows, yeah,
squats,
once a week. Barbell rows,
Chins.
chins,
Looking at what, about
squats.
12, 15 sets per session?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
3 sets of rear foot elevated
Yeah.
split squats.
Yeah.
He says he's doing quite a lot of core work to finish off, like the Russian planks and paddle press, etc.
Yeah.
So obviously you've looked through that training. He wants to know whether he should push him harder in the weight room.
Yeah, I think what you've got to do is you've got to step and realise your place as a coach, haven't you? Because as a strength coach, predominantly, you're part of a larger team, especially when it comes to like triathletes and endurance athletes. Like you can't overstep your mark and say, right, my work's the most important, so we've got to do 3 or 4 strength sessions a week. So the most important thing to him, and especially with a triathlete, they've got to learn how to swim properly, cycle properly, and run properly. So it's quite time consuming. So I think 1 session enough is enough. 1 hour a week is enough as long as you make it a good hour. There's a lot of things that we can do as strength coaches that will benefit their performance, and things to consider with that is a lot of endurance sport is based on power to weight ratio and weight. So if we have if they haven't got a nutritionist, then we can give them some basic nutritional advice and try and get that there and try and bring their weight so it's a decent body composition and they're still performing. So like say for cyclists, for example, you can bring their weight down and track with power output, and obviously we want it to go like that, so they're lower weight, higher power output. That's quite easy to do. We can work on their vertical jump height. So vertical jump height with running is very important because it will give you vertical displacement or ground clearance. So Paula Radcliffe was a perfect example of this. The good thing about Paula Radcliffe is they tracked her data from training as a kid right through to a world record holder. Cool. And they found out that she had an abnormally high vertical jump, single and double leg. And the Kenyans and all the top elites have this ground clearance when they run. They kind of clear by a good 13-14 centimetres off the ground. So we can work on vertical jump height, so we can include that in our programming. And we can basically just have the 3 or 4 goals of our strength program of improving jump height, making sure they stay injury free, and he's doing right by putting the core rotational work in there for swimming and things like that. So he's got a lot of room to play with. But yeah, I think 1 hour a week is enough. You don't want to over train them by just slamming them with loads of weights. But what I would say is don't go too high on the volume. Stick to low volume work because they get their volume and they get their muscular endurance, so to speak, from their specific training. So, working into sets of 3 and 6 are perfectly fine.
Would you split over maybe 2 days?
Yeah, you can.
They're not used to maybe lifting as much, and like from a skill acquisition.
So I have a guy that has his own company. He's very busy, and we do 2 half-hour sessions. One, he does a lot of dynamic movements, and then mobilisation, and then he'll work just squats, and he'll do a couple of front squat, back squat variants, and then the second session he does a little bit of dynamic movement, but then that's his main heavy session. So that's when he'll do his deads and his chins and his Olympic rows and his secondary exercises. He's got a list of about 10 to 15 secondary exercises that you can just pick and choose. And we do it over 2 half hours because he hates firstly being in the gym. That's another problem you might face with endurance athletes. So you've got to make them, it's got to be quick or they won't do it.
Yeah.
So we just have 2 half-hour sessions a week that you can even do at home if he needs to. He's got a bar and some dumbbells that he can load some weight on. Yeah, compromising is what you have to do a lot when you coach endurance athletes, really.
Perfect. Right, I'm going to put you on the spot, Kris. We normally give them like a question or something of the day. What would you like to know for personal? Might be something for when you're doing events and stuff like that.
What do you want to know from our viewers?
What do I want to know from your viewers? Okay. I want to know if...
He's moving.
Here we go.
Okay, so there's a lot of debate when it comes to coaching and PTs, especially when you're looking at bodybuilding or competing for shows. The coach has got to have some level of experience of that to be in a position to coach. So, for example, you look at your guys that have competed on stage, and the argument is, are they always a better coach? To the guys that might not have competed but have spent their time learning. My question to you guys is, what's your thoughts on that? And do you think that's transferable across the board for nutritionists? Do nutritionists need to to be a good nutritionist? Do you need to be able to compete at a bodybuilding show or whatever like that? To be a decent endurance coach, do you need the experience to being an endurance athlete? How valuable is that to you, and how much do you think it plays a role in their coaching ability?
Great question.
Good question.
That's deep, isn't it?
I know what I think.
Real deep.
I think
Right, that's going to get some good discussion as well. Right, guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.